What's up, everybody? It's Demi, and if you know me, then you know that I really like Detroit rap songs. If you listen to my snippets, you'll see that a lot of my newer songs use a lot of Detroit beats made from actual Detroit rappers. I mean, producers.
Don't gotta hop in the mix, cause I'm the playmaker. Tell your mans that Demi dangerous, better play safer. Fuck fighting, got the Glock throwing makers. That's your bitch, got her fucking net and let my mans take her.
You never find something out of thin air, and I didn't find the Detroit rap scene out of thin air either. I was actually introduced to the scene by two of my favorite rappers now, which is Cash Kid and BabyTron. So for this video, we'll be focusing on BabyTron himself, and I'll be trying my best to make a perfect BabyTron album. Now, how am I going to do that, you're probably asking? And I'm going to answer that right now. I'm going to be listening to every album released by BabyTron and taking songs from each album to put into what I would consider the perfect BabyTron album. I'll be placing them in order of how I think that they'll fit for this album. In the meantime, I'll also be reviewing each album as I go through them, so this video won't just be me listening to random songs and all that. Plus, I'm already listening to each and every one of these albums. I might as well tell you what I think of them, because who else is going to listen to me? So let's go ahead and get right into the first album. Okay, so the first album we have in our catalog is going to be Ben Reaper. It's BabyTron's first official album, which was released on Halloween of 2019. I'll just get this out of the way first, because it's going to be a real recurring theme in these reviews. I almost always think that BabyTron has these whack-ass album covers. Like, the albums are decent, but the album covers fucking suck. The beginning of this album starts pretty slow, if I'm being honest, and if you don't already know how fire BabyTron can be, you probably wouldn't even stick around for the rest of this album, and I genuinely wouldn't blame you either. The production isn't bad, especially since he literally just started recently around this time, and it is his first album. It definitely has room for improvement, but it isn't horrible. But what I didn't really care for was Tron's delivery on this album. In most of the songs on this album, Tron gives this lazy ass half asleep flow that just makes the album feel weak as hell and hard to pay attention to. Now, there are plenty of rappers who have flows like this that can make it work for themselves, like Babyface Ray and many others, but it just doesn't work when Tron does it, or at least when he does it multiple times. And trust me, he does it multiple times. Peak Tron will have you ready to scam your damn mom out of her debit card while you hit your money dance. So I don't know why Tron is really trying to put me to bed with all these damn songs. He doesn't do this in every song on the album, with songs like Flawless Victory and Jesus Shuttlesworth picking up a more upbeat pace, but there are more slower songs than the fast-paced, energetic Tron that fans are used to. Also, if you were introduced to BabyTron through the group that he's in called the Shitty Boys and thought they were gonna be here,
it's false. No way. Not this time.
Now, I'm not saying he has to have the group in every album, but I've noticed that he and the rest of the group do their best when paired with one, if not the whole group. I can definitely feel them trying harder and actually trying to one-up each other in delivery and wordplay, which makes it kind of whack that he chose not to include them in his first album. Now, he does have features on the album, and you're probably asking yourself, were they worth taking out the group? Lil Yachty surprisingly ate on the verse that he was given, but once again, Tron's lazy delivery makes me rarely listen to that song. I mean, I did like the song with All-Star JR where they go back and forth, but other than that, the rest of these features could have either been taken out of the album completely, if you ask me. I mean, like, you know, I like Rio the Young OG as an artist, but even his verse was weak as hell to me. This album really has a mixed bag of songs. Like, one moment you're about to turn off the album due to boredom, and then the other you're woken up to jam out to the upbeat Tron. I'm going to have to give this album a 6 out of 10. I genuinely was left unimpressed with this album when I first heard it, and I'm not any more impressed now. The songs I'll be taking into consideration for this album, though, are going to have to be Jesus Shuttlesworth, Bag Season, Scampire, Flawless Victory, Tables Turned, and Punch God 2. Let's hope that Tron learns from this album. A whole year after the first album, on the Halloween of 2020, Tron gave us Sleeve Nash. Now, my first thought was, oh, Tron must have learned from the last album, because his first song starts off more fast-paced, which was really good to hear. But is it just me though, or did the quality kinda drop? Like literally go listen to the song Speed Racer and you'll be left putting your damn ear to the speaker trying to hear what the hell Tron is saying. Why do most of the vocals on this album get drowned out by all these damn beats? I found myself actually not even really having any opinions on most of this album, with a few exceptions. Like the beats were nice and the lyrics weren't bad, but I had to try too damn hard just to even know what the lyrics were because the beats were so damn loud. There aren't many features, which isn't a bad thing since most of the songs I didn't like on this album actually are the ones with features on them. Like, I didn't like the song with Casher Kwan and Wirestar Grams. I also kind of forgot that Since 99 was there, but I remember kind of enjoying the song, but not enough to put it in the album I'm doing. I also remember Tron being really fucking excited about this Lil B the Bass God feature he got, and I was excited to see how they would play off each other. But damn, Lil B's verse was ass. And I really liked Tron's verse on that song and wanted to add it to the album. But Lil B fucked that up by coming on here and ruining the whole goddamn song. Altogether, I have to give this album another 6 out of 10. The song selection was better, but the quality wasn't, which made it kind of hard to listen to. And you can't listen to a damn BabyTron album without paying attention to the lyrics. Also, he needs to start getting better features, because the features he picks either outshine him or fuck up the song, except for Since 99. They are good together. The songs I'll be taking from Sleeve Nash for consideration of the album are going to be Rude as Hell, Goat or Shark, Debo, Same Jimmy, and Born Sinner. Let's go ahead and head on to the next one. In Back to the Future, we get a completely solo BabyTron album with a total of 0 features. This is also Tron's shortest album, only being 25 minutes long. Now, the album actually benefits from being only 25 minutes. It's enough for you to listen to the whole thing and not feel like he's dragging this shit out. Also, the production is finally starting to upgrade, and the vocals aren't too low or too loud, making it to where you don't have to break your damn neck putting your ear to the damn speaker so you can hear the fucking lyrics. Now, the beat selection in this album is actually the best one so far to me. Also, I really like his flows on almost all of the songs, and I really feel like this should have been his first album. It probably would have made the shit hit even harder. Like, I'd have really loved to have heard this Tron on his first album release. This album is actually the only Tron album I hadn't finished before this video, which is surprising because I found out I actually kinda like this one. Ironically though, one of the songs is named SB4L, which stands for Shitty Boys for Life. And Shitty Boys is the name of the rap group that he's in that I talked about earlier, but we're on the 3rd album, and no one from the group has even made a fucking appearance yet. I'm gonna give this album a 7.5 out of 10. I enjoyed it even though it was pretty short, and he definitely upgraded the quality this time. Also, from this album I'm gonna be taking Tootsie Roll, Joe Dumars, and Chill into consideration for the album. And once again, we're on to the next. So, I genuinely debated on even doing the 2 collab albums that Tron has in this list, to be honest. As a collab album, they are technically a Tron album, so I could add them, but at the same time, I really could just skip over them and it wouldn't even really matter. The only reason I even debated about this though is because I remember not liking the collab albums and I high-key didn't want to re-listen to that shit. Lucky for me though, these collab albums are only around 20 minutes each, plus I might find some good songs to put on the album that I'm making. The first collab album that we have is BabyTron and Stan Will, who is another member of the Shitty Boys group. Now, I actually really like when the group does songs with Stan Will. Stan Will is the only person in the group who I think each person makes good music with consistently. Like, if BabyTron and Stan Will are on a song together, it's most likely fire. And it's the same with Stan Will and TRD. Now, I'm not saying BabyTron and TRD don't work together, but there are a lot of mid songs with those two in it. But now that I've said that, you'll be wondering, was the Stan Will collab album worth it?
No.
A lot of collab albums come out as just really mid, and this album is really not an exception. Now, it's not horrible, but it's not good enough to listen to again or remember most of the songs. And it's crazy because seeing as this is the 4th album in Tron's catalog and the first time that one of the Shitty Boys has even made an appearance on it, so I assumed that they had saved the heat for this album. Now again, The songs weren't bad, they just weren't that good, except for like 2 of them. Most of the songs also have once again dropped back down in quality, and the vocals sound kinda stuffy or they're overwhelmed by the beat. Like genuinely, go listen to the song DoorDash and the song It's On from this album, and listen to everybody's mic quality. Like, did you record this shit on your phone? Also, what the fuck is this album cover? This goofy ass coloring book ass album cover. Like, I genuinely looked at this and thought, who keeps doing this man's album covers? There isn't even really much to say since this album only has like 7 songs, so I'll just give the rating now, and I'm giving it a 5 out of 10. It's genuinely just decent. There's nothing else to say about it. And I'm only taking 1 song into consideration for the album, and that song is going to be 3 Stripe Life. Now the next album is going to be a collab album called Dookie Brothers 2. Yeah. In Detroit, they like to say stuff like, I keep dog shit on me and things of that nature. If you have dog shit on you, it means you have like a lot of money. I saw in one interview from a Detroit rapper that he said he believes if you don't have at least $2,000, it's not dog shit. So when they named the album Dookie Brothers, I assume it's because they got dog shit on them. It's still stupid as fuck. I just wanted to explain it for you, so you're not stuck wondering what the hell they were thinking. Now the album cover isn't that bad, but they had already used the same album cover for the Dookie Brothers 1, with just them sitting in different places. And don't get on my ass talking about, well, you didn't listen to Dookie Brothers 1. I actually did listen to Dookie Brothers 1 a while ago, before this video, but that's in TRD's thing, and I'm not going out of my way to listen to fucking Dookie Brothers 1. This album kind of reiterates my point from the last collab album about how Tron and TRD are decent together, but really nothing too special. They do definitely have some nice songs together like Bada Bing Bada Boom, which is from Dookie Brothers 1, but for the most part, a lot of their songs together come off as lackluster if you ask me. Now the nice songs they have are definitely good, there just isn't that many of them when it's just those 2. Whenever they have songs together, it feels like one of them either outshines the other instead of them both playing perfectly off of each other. Like in one song, TRD will eat with his flow, and in another song, Tron will dominate the song with his flow. And it's just like, you know, it doesn't feel like a collab, I guess. This album is also a mixed bag of songs. There were songs I thought were good and wanted to put in the album, but there was either something missing making me debate on it, or I just didn't think it was a good song for a perfect BabyTron album. Since I'm making the perfect BabyTron album, I want songs that make Tron shine, while also putting spotlights on his features, but in a way that doesn't feel like it's now not a BabyTron song anymore. Like, they had pretty nice song selections, the album just suffers from the same thing most collab albums do. And that's that they didn't actually properly place the songs or structure it like an actual album. And I know you're all like, but it's just a collab album. Almost all collab albums suck. Just because something usually sucks doesn't mean that it's supposed to, or that you should excuse it for being trash. Stop conditioning yourself to accept things in your life that are obviously mediocre. At the end of the day, this is supposed to be a collab album, with the keyword being album, and it didn't feel like that for me. I'm going to give this album a 7 out of 10. It was better than Lewis and Clark in song selection, but the songs I didn't like were pretty mid, and the placement could have been better. I'll be taking Sink or Swim and Hall of Fame from this album into consideration for the next album. Lukatroncake is Tron's first album to hit an hour-long mark, with this being an hour and 3 minutes. Now I don't mind an album being an hour or more, as long as it's fire and doesn't feel like it overstays its welcome. So when this album first came out, I was interested in how he'd make a whole hour-long Tron album. By this album, I kind of stopped expecting these albums to be anything past a 7, so I wasn't coming into this expecting absolute fire or anything. Like, I still listen to Tron singles and stuff, so I did come in at least knowing he had hella potential to be more than a 7. I had already listened to this album before, I just never go back to it. But to be honest, I never really go back to any of these albums. Now the first thing I noticed was that I only had 2 songs from this album in my like songs, and one of them is the 4th song, and the other is the 14th song, which is pretty far apart. One thing I'll commend this album for doing though, is having an actual theme this time. It actually feels like almost every song on here was supposed to be on this album. I still do feel like the song placement could have been better. Some songs sounded like they could have been a pretty good opener, and others felt like they would have benefited from being near the end of the album. The quality actually jumped up this time, which I'm very glad about. I do think this album probably shouldn't have been an hour though. Like, it would have made more sense to split this album in half and rearrange it a bit so it's long enough to be an album but short enough to make you want more. The rest of the songs he took off could have just went on the deluxe album for the people who actually wanted more. Now, I'm not saying albums can't be an hour, it's just that this album shouldn't be. It gets kinda old after like 10 songs and then you think, oh, it's still going? It also has some kind of random songs thrown in the middle that just make it feel like he liked those songs and didn't know what to do with them. Like, why is The Office and Just In Case the 13th and 14th song, and they're followed up by Mr. Miyagi, which is a good song, it's just not placed correctly. This album dragged on so long that at one point I started playing Mortal Kombat while listening to it, and I was like, shit, I forgot this was on. After checking my phone 1,000 times to see how long I had left, and yawning a good number of times, the album finally ended though, and I was not happy about it. This genuinely had no reason being an hour and 3 minutes, and was genuinely a fucking album full of filler songs. I'm gonna go right into the rating and give this a 5 out of 10. Yeah, I put 5 songs in my like songs, but there are 24 songs in this album. And almost all of them weren't enough to even hold my attention, plus the album placement was just random when you get to the halfway mark. I'm gonna take IG Captions, Cold World, Cowabunga, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, and Playmaker into consideration for the album. In the year of 2021, Mr. BabyTron decided not to drop 1, not 2, but 4 whole ass albums within this year. We've already gone through 3, and I am very much not impressed. Now the next album we have is the follow-up to Ben Reaper, which is of course called Ben Reaper 2. Because boy, the first Ben Reaper was good. That was sarcasm, by the way. This album is 4 minutes longer than the last one, coming at an hour and 7 minutes, and I really hope to the goddess herself that I do not regret spending an hour on this. Also, I was surprised to notice that I already had 12 songs from this album in my liked songs, and there are 27 songs in this album. Meaning that I have almost half of the album in my liked songs. So apparently I must have at least moderately enjoyed this at one point, so we're gonna have to see where this goes. This album has some pretty nice samples. I'll give it that. Most of the songs I liked on here had really good samples, plus the samples went well with his flow at the same time. Now I know I keep saying this, but damn it, I'm saying it again. What the fuck is this song placement? I'm just as tired of saying this shit as you are of hearing it, and that's some real shit. Now the songs I liked were pretty good, but they were placed in random ass orders. Every album feels like a fucking BabyTron playlist and not a damn album. And that's why I keep stressing to you other rappers that song placement really does matter. I don't know other rappers' tactics when it comes to placing their albums, but it sometimes takes me days to even get the placement right. And sometimes I still fuck that shit up, bro. So I'm like, I think people should really take the time to place their album. This album is good to just turn on and play some games or just play in the background while you drive and chill. Like, it kept me awake and made me interested in most of the songs. Like, the songs themselves are pretty damn good. They just needed to be put in a different order, and 1 or 2 songs could have been taken out of the album in general. Now, a lot of the songs on here are prime examples of peak Tron, and they're things I would show people who wanted to get into Tron or didn't know if his music was good. Now, don't get me wrong. There were definitely some mid songs, but this time it wasn't as bad as the last albums. I'm gonna give this album an 8 out of 10. I did like it and it's better than the other albums in this list, but there were songs that shouldn't have been on the album and songs that should have been in another spot, while also having songs that were just plain decent. The songs that were good though were fire as hell to me at least, and the songs that I'm gonna be taking from this album are Paul Bearer, Turtle Pie, Young Goats, Green Lantern, Frankenstein, and No Jumper to be taken into consideration for the album. This is the latest album in BabyTron's catalog, and yes, I've already listened to this one before the video too. I was actually excited for this one when it dropped, just because of the fact that for once BabyTron had an actually good looking album cover, which was very surprising to me. Now the album is named Megatron and is only an hour and 3 minutes long, making it less than Ben Reaper 2 by 4 minutes, but it's still an hour long. I once again noticed how many songs were already in my liked songs, and this time there were only 5 out of 23 songs, which was not looking good. I remember when this dropped, I thought it was mid, but then the songs that I did like kind of grew on me, which was only 5 songs. I'm not going to go into this thinking that it's going to be mid, because BabyTron does surprise me sometimes. Like after re-listening to Ben Reaper 2, I actually enjoyed it more. Now it started off pretty slow, and it stayed like that. There were a few songs that were upbeat, like Chess Players, which is my favorite song on the album, and it's been on repeat since I first heard it. I actually didn't know Tron even had a new album when this dropped, until I saw that he had a new single out, and then I realized that he had a whole fucking album that dropped under my nose. I feel like this album was more disappointing to me, seeing as we're on the 8th album at this point, and he finally started improving with Ben Reaper 2. Now we gotta see him go back to such basic and mid-ass songs, which is pretty damn lame if you ask me. Like BabyTron threw in this random ass song called Mainstream Tron, where he raps on this Lil Uzi ass beat, and if you're thinking that he changed his flow for this,
that is not correct.
Now this song should show you just how much thought and care went into this album. And that would be not that damn much. I'm at the point where I'm kinda tired of these damn Tron albums. Like after 8 albums and only one of them being better than decent, I'm genuinely pretty bored with his bodies of work. Also, I'm pretty glad that this is his last one so far, because I don't know if I have a fucking another hour to spare in me. This album is getting a 6 out of 10. It was slower and felt more dragged out than most of the other albums, except maybe for Lukatroncake, and the songs like Chess Players, which I really like, just show how good this album could have been. I'm gonna be taking Mr. Do the Dash, Chess Players, and Stupid into consideration. And now we get to the fun part, building the album. Now that we've gone through every album and taken every song we think deserves at least a chance of being on this album, it's time to finally piece together the perfect BabyTron album. I'm gonna start by listing the songs I decided not to use, which are Punch God 2, Rude as Hell, Born Sinner, Chill, Turtle Pie, and Debo. Each of these songs have been taken out for different reasons. Some songs were taken out because I just simply didn't like them anymore, while some were taken out because when organizing the album I realized that I had no place to put them. The songs I took out were good, that's why I even considered them, but I just couldn't do anything with them, so I was forced to let them go. Now the Tron album I made is a total of 42 minutes and 19 seconds, which I think is the perfect amount of time for an album like this. I also wanted to make the album sound like Tron had something to prove, and as if he was saying, I'm Tron, I'm the fucking GOAT, and here's why. I also wanted to put songs that would be a good intro to the Shitty Boys if you've never heard of them before, instead of making you wait for 3 fucking albums. I ended up using 17 songs in total, and only 5 of those songs had features on them. It was kind of hard for me to put these songs in an order that made sense to me, and also didn't come off as random as fuck. I also wanted the songs to kind of blend into each other, and by that I mean I wanted the next song to feel like it was continuing off of the last song. After an intense study of these songs, and using my musical intellect, I have finally decided on the placement for the album, which I have given the name Jackhawk. And I am now gonna list each song in order of how I placed them first to last. 1. Flawless Victory, IG Captions, Goat or Shark, Frankenstein, Cowabunga, Joe Dumars, Stupid, Chess Players, 3 Stripe Life, Pallbearer, Hall of Fame, Playmaker, Young Goats, No Jumper, Mr. Do the Dash, Same Jimmy, and Tables Turned. Now I instantly knew Flawless Victory had to be the opener once I heard it, because it really just felt like something that would grab your attention immediately. I also decided to close off the album with Tables Turned because I thought it would be nice to close off an album about how he's the best and talking shit with a song that talks about how he used to watch everybody ball and now he's the top dog now. Of course, I can't just place the album and go on about my day. I also made a deluxe album for this, but we'll get into that later. Right now, I'm gonna listen to the album I made and tell you how I personally rate it. Hopefully I didn't fuck this up. Man, this shit is heat! This album does exactly what I wanted it to do, straight from the beginning of the album to the absolute end. This album is showing me that Tron has the songs to produce a great album. He just needs better song selection and better song structure. The features all go with the sound of the album, and Tron eats on every verse, not letting up on any of the songs, making you go, damn, this nigga is hard. Now, it genuinely was hard putting together songs from different albums and bringing them to one, seeing as each album kind of had its own theme it was trying to pull. Also, I was kind of afraid to listen to this album because I thought it would come off as ass, and I didn't need y'all in the comments going, well, Demi, this isn't any better than the other albums. This is worse. The songs end and get picked up right where they left off with the next song, and you don't even really notice the changes in tempos with certain songs. It starts off with an upbeat tempo that has a chokehold on your attention and slowly starts to come down while still managing to be hard as hell. I'm going to give this album a 9 out of 10. It's not a masterpiece, but for what I was trying to do, I genuinely feel like I accomplished that goal, and most likely will be listening to this album whenever I feel like listening to Tron. I also made a deluxe album, which was also pretty damn good. I'll be leaving the playlist for both of them in the comment section, and I do recommend that you listen to them from the beginning to the end as I place them. I did have a lot of fun and stress doing this album, but in the end I enjoyed it, so that's all that really matters to me. If you want to see more videos like this, let me know in the comments, and let me know who else you'd like me to make the perfect album for.
Have you ever wanted to die inside? Have you